Well, we're back to work on the Goofy card again today. And what I have been working on is my right angle drive box, left hand. And I've stripped it all down. I started sandblasting it, but I had to quit sandblasting and reverted back to using a wire wheel because I'm not able to get these bearings out in here, and that's not a problem. And my tape started lifting in this corner because of the oil. There was a little bit of oil inside yet. So we got it all done, and now it's all cleaned out inside. No sand got inside, thankfully, because it had only peeled back on this corner a little bit when the oil was seeping out. So that wasn't an issue. I did sandblast my lid, and I sandblasted this bearing retainer here. And so they're ready to go down to the basement and to be washed down, and then put some metal etching primer on them. And I think these are going to get a hammered finish on them. Trying to decide if they're going to be hammered gray or hammered silver or hammered bronze. Not sure yet. And I have the rest of the internal parts are here in the parts cleaner. And if you look down in here, you see those little needle bearings in there? Those came out of, where is it here? Oh, over here. I've been working on cleaning the top part of the transmission, and I have it pretty well cleaned. I'm not going to sandblast this because it has needle bearings down in here, and you can see one set that's in there, and the other set came out, and the other set is what you saw in the parts cleaner. Now I've got to look online and see if there's a way I can get a new bearing for here. The reason being is I can put that old bearing, the old needle, back in there if I have all of them, and I think I do. And they would be held in place by the grease that you use to install them. But somehow in the process, I need to be able to put a seal on here. There is no seal, and this is the shaft that goes out the bottom. This is the bottom half of the transmission. And I need to put a seal in there because originally these transmissions just had grease in them. And if you look back quite a ways back now, you'll see when I open it up, and most of the grease was packed down in the bottom. You got to remember this is from this is 45, almost 50 years old, this transmission. And so yeah, most of the grease had settled down in and wasn't really grabbing much on the gears. And these are only straight cut gears anyway. But I need to get a seal for that. I'm not so concerned about these here. These have bushings on them, and the transmission fluid that we're going to use in it is only going to come up to just below where these bushings are. And what we're going to use, I'm going to walk you over here. You can see my AC unit installed. What we're going to use is STP. And I am going to use this high mileage stuff. I think it's a little bit thicker. It also says stop leak, because what it does, it swells the seals a little bit, and I don't know, maybe not. That's what I has been thinking about anyway. But so either one of those is going to get used in there. And the same for the gearbox here. This is going to get STP in it, and it had some sort of greasy oil stuff in there, and obviously it did its job and kept it well lubricated for many years. It's off of an old lawnmower mower deck. but the bearings are in great shape, and the gears are in very nice shape. Yep. So, and even in the transmission, even with just the grease in there, the teeth are a little bit worn here, but not really bad. And it should suit our purposes anyway. So we need to, I need to get the housings cleaned up and painted, and that's what I'm working on. And the next thing I'm going to do, before I go any further on my welding on the frame, I'm going to flip it back down in place, and I'm going to set the motor back on it, because I think that I am going to put a torque converter on this. And I need to make sure that if I get a torque converter, that I will be able to get it mounted up in such a way that it will work with the motor and with my gearbox. And I want you to know something. Mr. Heavy Chevy gave me this gearbox, or transfer box, whatever you want to call it. Like I said, it came off of a mower deck. You see right on there it says left hand. And this one turns in exactly the right direction. It's a good thing it was left hand, not a right hand, because the right hand would have been turning the opposite way. As it turns out, I've done some investigation, and these gearboxes are highly sought after by guys who do lawnmower racing, and the transmissions are used by them as well, although this one here is not the most highly sought after. They prefer the 700 series. This is a 500 series, and some of them won't even bother with these, but I found enough guys that say they've been using them and had no problems. So I'm going to be doing more research and do the modifications that they do to make them stand up longer. And not that I'm going to be racing this, but I still want it to be able to stand up to the power that we're putting to it, and you know, driving it around. So yeah, this is probably both of these parts are close to 50 years old. This transmission I know is close to it, if not. And this probably is too. So another shout out to Mr. Heavy Chevy. Thank you very much. This is going to do the job. Now I've got to make sure now that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to order a torque converter. And because I'm going to be using the torque converter, that's if I can make it work. We've talked about this before, that there's essentially no difference between what was called a 10 horse and what is called an 8 horse. And that's true up to 11 horse with these Tecumseh flathead motors. The reason I am going to go back to this motor here, I shouldn't say go back because this is one I just got recently, came off of that snowblower we stripped down, is it has a 1-inch shaft and it's 1 inch all the way back in here. This one here has 1 inch out here, but it's stepped down, and back in here it's even bigger. So I couldn't bolt the torque converter all the way in. The other thing is this one has this output shaft, which is not a big deal because I had one of these on the Gadget bike and I just cut it off with a hacksaw. This one does not have that counter shaft, and so this one is all set up ready for me to just bolt on a torque converter unit, and that's what I'm thinking of doing. So I've got the two motors set up here side by side. I'm going to be taking all the shrouding off of this, and I'm going to look at the heads and determine which one looks the best. They're probably identical inside, but this one here has more casting marks, it looks like, than this one here. It looks like it's smoother. And I'm going to be taking the head off. I've already bought a head gasket a year ago or more. We're not going to have this sheet metal or any of this stuff. We've got a new carburetor for it. We're using a Mikuni knockoff. We got custom intake and custom exhaust and all that good stuff. So anyway, we're going to use this motor. The starter that is on here will bolt on here. Everything is identical, one to the other. And while I'm at it, I think I'm going to also take this cover off here and not just disconnect the governor. I think I'm going to remove it entirely. So I'm going to get a gasket kit for this part here. And while I'm at it, I'll be able to replace the seal and perhaps the seal on the other side. So we'll be able to clean this motor all up and get it painted, and I might even see about taking one of these heads and taking machine shop and see about having it planed to bump up our compression a little bit. And we'll see how that works. But yeah, that's where I'm headed, and that's just a little update on the Goofy Cart today. I'm working at it. My next piece that I'm going to be tearing apart, like I said, I haven't ordered the torque converter yet, but I'm planning on doing it, perhaps even today. Next piece that I'm going to work on, let's see, is it down in here? I've got stuff stashed all around the Robin Hood's barn. There it is right there, our steering box. I'm going to be pulling that out because I'm going to do some work on it. It's got quite a bit of slop in it, and I've got to see if there's a way I can take the slop out of it. In fact, I should just take it out while I get you guys right here. If I could get one of you guys to hold the camera, I could just grab this and pull it out. But we'll see. I prefer to use this one because everything is already set up, and my steering arms and everything else. And this one has some sentimental value to me because this one came from Dave of Dave's Cage Stroked Fireburnable. Boy, we haven't heard from him for a while. I wonder how things are going along. He's a fellow Minnesotan. He's from up north of Minneapolis. And we actually met up in the cities, and he came down for a hockey game, as I recall, and we met at a Quick Trip, and he gave it to me there, and we got to chat with one another and had a great time. So that's another reason to keep this one, because it has some relationship involved in it, and another member of the YouTube Garage Gang. Well, this video's probably getting huge long. I don't know how you guys tell how long these go. I don't have a meter on my camera that tells me, but I think I've been talking for quite a while. So I'm going to be taking this part down into the basement and getting it cleaned up and ready for some paint. I already have the pulley that came off of this. I sandblasted that yesterday. My first time using my sandblaster, by the way. Bought this over a year ago, and it works just dandy. Let me turn the light on. I bought this one online, and part of the reason I bought it online rather than going to HF was because it came with a light already in it, and it was already assembled. The only thing I had to do was put the legs on it, which is no big deal at all. And yeah, so it works very well. Oh, I had to hook the hoses up inside there. And because when it came, they had put it in the cardboard box upside down, it had broken the plexiglass here and here. And I wrote to the company, and initially they were going to send me a new plexiglass. Well, they changed their mind evidently, because within a week they refunded my money back. And so I got this sandblaster for free. And the reason I hadn't been using it, it's taken me all this time to come up with the parts that I needed to hook it up. This is a dryer here, and then a regulator. So I hook my air up there, and I don't even have a vacuum cleaner hooked up to it, and it still seems to work pretty well without it. I think I'm going to take this removable piece off the inside. It doesn't seem to be helping much, and it actually clouds it up more than it helps. So I have another piece of plexiglass that I had bought myself to replace it, and it's much thicker, heavier duty, so that when this one gets, and it's not leaking out of these cracks at all, it's working fine now, but when that gets all messed up so I can't see in there anymore, then I'll replace the whole plexiglass. I'd highly recommend it. It was, I think it was like $98 with free shipping. I'll have to look and see if I can find out what the brand was on it. It doesn't have any name tag anywhere on it. It's pretty much a generic unit, but it works well. And for the price, I'm not going to complain. So until next time, this is George. Woohoo! Yes, sirree, Bob. It's me, George, the Shade Tree Fix-It Man, saying thanks for watching, for commenting, and subscribing. And we just recently topped over 3,000 subscribers. And I'm not sure exactly what it's at now, but I'm trying to come up with an idea of what I'm going to use for a giveaway. I want to do a giveaway give back to you guys, because you're the ones that make it happen. And what I'm thinking of very seriously is just getting a Harbor Freight gift certificate, and that would be our prize. So hold on to your hats and keep watching, because there'll be an announcement coming very soon about our 3,000 subscriber giveaway. And of course, I gotta show you what's going on outside. That's part of the deal, you know. Look at that. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's a sun in the sky, and there's blue skies and white puffy clouds. Yeah, it's chilly. It's probably 30 degrees outside, 33, something like that. But it's not bad in here in the shop. I haven't had the heat on at all. But look at that. It's according to the thermometer up there, it's just under 40. It's like 39, 38 degrees. And that's comfortable for me. So, no more blabbering. Thanks again for watching. And I hope your days are going well. Bye for now.